All right. So sometime during the car, I had lost the car that I had been living in, and there was this family that came along. Actually, a girl that I went to high school with, and she was a grade below me, but I knew her. We were friends, and she was very nice, very sweet, very friendly. We got along really well, and we were good friends. School gets out, and I ran into this girl one day. Don't remember where. I ran into her. We started talking and everything. She didn't know my situation. She had no clue. So I explained everything to her, and she said, well, you know what? Let me go talk to my parents. Let me see if you can stay with us. So she did. She went and talked to them, and literally within that day or the next day, I moved in. I moved in. It was unbelievable. I couldn't believe it, because the only thing I was thinking about when I ran into her that day was, where am I going to stay, number one, and number two, what was I going to eat that night, for dinner or whatever. So as she was talking, it was almost like, it was kind of, in a sense, going in one ear and out the other. I couldn't believe it. It was surreal to me. I couldn't believe that she was offering me a place to stay and live, and food, clothing, and shelter, and all that. Because the only thing going through my mind again was just where was I going to stay, where was I going to sleep, what was I going to eat, that sort of thing. I had just the clothes on my back, essentially. That's all I had, really. And so literally, either that day or the next day, I went over to her house. I moved in. I met her parents. They were so sweet and kind. And they were so sweet and kind. And the thing is, I had nowhere to go. I had nothing and nowhere to go. And this family, out of nowhere, literally, just by chance, I ran into their daughter, who was a friend of mine. This family took me in. So that's how that worked out. So I was just shocked by that. I was stunned. I was shocked. Yeah. I just couldn't believe it. It was one of those things where, you're in amazement. I mean, you're happy. I was thrilled. I was happy. I was excited. I was like, okay, I don't have to worry about food, clothing, and shelter, because they literally gave me those things. They, overnight, within an instant, I had food, I had clothing, I had shelter. I mean, I sat down with them, I had dinner with them, they took me out for ice cream, these kind of things. It was like I was part of that family. That was the thing. I was literally part of the family, like instantly. They took me in as if I was their son. And I was just stunned, because I couldn't believe the love and the compassion that these people had for somebody that they didn't even know. And I was a teenage boy, and they had a teenage daughter, so you can kind of figure out all that stuff. You can kind of think about that. I mean, what parents would do that under those conditions? And so, yeah, I mean, it was like instant family, like now they had Instacart, now they got instant family, that's kind of what happened, I had instant family. I mean, if there was a way to describe it, that was it. It was like an instant family. That's what I had. That's what they gave me. But the thing is, the whole thing is with all of that, is that over the decades, I've never had a chance to properly thank these people for their kindness, their love, their compassion, their hand of mercy, their grace. They just took me in, and unexpectedly for me, it was all surreal, and they took me in as if I was their son. And that's how I felt. I felt like I was a son and all that to them, instantly. And that really opened my eyes to a lot of things. Not only that this is, such a loving family and a caring family, compassionate family, but it made me realize this is what a family should be. This is what a family could be. Something I didn't have. So that was an eye-opener. I was really in shock for the first several days, several weeks about all of this. I didn't, of course I didn't expect it. Like I said, it just came out of nowhere, instant family. So again, it opened my eyes to what a family could be. And, really from that point on, I realized that that's something that if I ever had a family, that's something that I wanted. That's something I wanted. So the decision for that family to say yes to me, to say yes, you can come and live with us. You can come live in our house. And I stayed in a little area by the garage, it was a big room actually. They had a pool table in there or something like that. They were, they had a big house and stuff, plenty of rooms. And I had a huge room there, and I was like, I didn't know what to do with it. I'd never had that before. But I tried to keep it clean, and I tried to be respectful, do things around the house as best I can remember. Maybe I didn't do as much as I should have, which is another reason to thank them, and also apologize if I didn't do enough to show my appreciation for them taking me in. But the whole thing is with that, is that the fact that they said yes, because they could have said no. They could have said no. They could have said, no, this is not a good idea. We shouldn't have that. We shouldn't have this teenage boy coming to live with us. We have a daughter. They had another younger daughter and son. They were like in elementary school and stuff too. So they had 3 kids. And the fact that they said yes changed everything for me. Changed everything. It made me realize again, this is the kind of family I want to have if I ever have a family. It gave me a model, a structure. It gave me an idea of what family stability was. Not just love and compassion and caring, but it showed me the dynamics of a family and what the potential was there for me maybe in the future. They provided security, love, compassion, a lot of things that I didn't have at that time in my life and hadn't had really for a long time. I certainly didn't have stability. I wasn't stable at all. Obviously, I'd been living in a car and all that stuff. So that was an impactful time for me. The fact that they took me in just out of nowhere, the whole instant family thing. That's the best way I can describe it, because it was like instantly they took me in like it was their son. I couldn't believe it. I still don't believe it. 40 years later, I still don't believe it. But I've never had a chance to thank them properly. And I don't know if they'll ever see this video. I don't know if they're still alive. I'm not sure of that. Maybe there's a good chance they're not. I don't know. I don't know about the daughter. I don't know where she is. If she's still alive, I don't know anything. But my plan is to be able to reach out to them in some form or fashion as best I can. And if they're still around, to thank them for what they did for me so long ago, and how that impacted me, and how it changed my whole perspective about life and family and a lot of different things that at the time was nothing but chaos around me, and instability and insecurity and anxiety and fear and all the things that you would have when you're a young kid and no place to go and nothing to offer anybody. No money in your pocket, those sorts of things. So yes, it was a family that took me in, like so many families that took me in. But this one family kind of, it was a little more special, I guess, in a sense. I appreciate everybody that helped me along the way. There were so many that helped me along the way. This was one in many families, but it was different in the sense that they made me feel like I was part of the family. And that's what stuck with me all these decades, I think. And so I've tried to kind of, in a sense, model my own family with my wife and kids that way, in a sense. And I think it's been a good example for me all these years. I'm very thankful for that. So it's amazing what saying yes can do, because the family could have said no. They could have said no and sent me on my way down the road. And I could have ended up wherever I was going to end up that night when I was talking to their daughter. It's amazing what one decision, the kind of impact it can have on your life. It really is. The fact that they said yes to me decades later can change your whole life. So yeah. If you haven't seen any of my other videos, I'll post them up here. This is kind of an ongoing series about living in my car, a lot of different things during that time, during my youth, and kind of building forward with things. Like I said, I'll post them up here. Be sure to subscribe, like, all that kind of good stuff if you do like the content. But I'm going to continue to post. I post weekly, so I really appreciate you watching. Did I say washing? I meant watching. But so thank you so much for tuning in here. Yeah, I love you. God bless. We'll see you real soon.